Welcome to Becoming a Principal, the podcast for aspiring educational leaders. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Matt. Our mission is to inspire and support educators considering leadership roles so they can add value to the communities they serve.
How's your day?
It's great.
All right. We're
trying
something even more new now. I feel like your chair is a little higher than mine, so I got to fix that up.
Yeah, there
we go.
Yeah.
So we're doing video, but in the same spot, in the same location this time.
Yeah.
Last time we did video at a different location. Yeah. Let's try something new.
You know, I went to the Hockey Hall of Fame when I was a kid, and they had actually it was the Montreal Forum, and they had the studio for Hockey Night in Canada where Don Cherry and Ron McLean sat, and it was about this size.
Really?
Yeah, so here we go.
It was small. Okay. Then
Yeah.
I guess someone has showed us the way. It can be done this way.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How's your day today?
It's great. It went by fast.
Yeah.
Can't believe the time.
It was busy. We're heading into the holiday season soon. And you could feel the energy is different. Some people are like ramping up.
And the anxiety.
And
right?
ramping down too,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So yeah, lots we're managing right now, but happy to be here. Today we thought that we would discuss something unique to a transition to leadership. And that's, new leaders in new roles in school setting, finding their voice and their authentic self in their own leadership. So the reason why, we kind of talked about this earlier, that we thought it'd be important to discuss is that oftentimes in our new roles, we can feel like we need to be something that we might not be yet. And it feels weird at first. Did you ever encounter that where you felt like,
oh, of course,
you had to respond a certain way, but like
it's the imposter syndrome is getting you, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Back to that again. It keeps coming up, right?
Yeah.
And one quote that I was taken out of this book, this is a wonderful book, by the way, High Road Leadership by John C. Maxwell. I think we've referred to him a few times here. But it was actually, he used a John Wooden quote, which is, do not be too concerned about what others may think of you, but be very concerned about what you think of yourself. How would you say that translates or relates to starting in a new role as a school leader?
That's a good start. I think if you don't have the confidence in what you're doing, then it's going to be a struggle, right? And I think that it's going to rub off on other people. You just have to, just show up every day and think like, I got it. And every day is a new opportunity to learn. I don't want to say it because things are great around here, but I'm always looking for, new opportunities to learn. So I'm, kind of hopeful that, okay, like what am I going to have to deal with today that's going to be new? Not that, I want our day to be that busy or, I don't need all the newness all the time. Right. But it's a good opportunity. It's a great opportunity to dive in and really that's just my mindset.
And how do you, I guess, well, we got some questions here that we're going to kind of go into, but I guess this isn't even a question that was on here, so I'm catching off guard a little bit. You okay with that? Okay, so when you think about when you started in the role as vice principal, like you're in your first week or whatnot, if you can reflect back to that time, and a situation came up where you thought, I think I need to handle it this way, but it didn't really align with like maybe how you would have naturally went to handle it. Did that ever happen to you where you're kind of like, I think the situation needs me to act this way, but it's not really in line with my true self?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Right? Just because of that, especially being new, the role you feel like you're in and what your perception is the way you need to be in that role.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think if I think about a scenario like that, I think I came out of there feeling a little icky about it.
I bet.
Right? In order to describe it poorly. And you're just like, oh, that just didn't land the way I wanted to land. Or your process you're not comfortable in your own process because you're acting like the role, not like your true self. Right. So I guess it depends on how you, you got to grow in that way though.
Where do you think that comes from though? Where do you think the perception of how we should be responding comes from? Because it comes from somewhere, right?
Oh, I'll tell you what I think exactly.
Principal Skinner in The Simpsons?
That's right. No,
okay. Mr. Belding?
No, because we've had a lifetime of culturing as to what an administrator should be like.
That's right.
From the time that we were in schools. And, I think the 2 times I was in a principal's office in elementary school, not at all in high school, and just thinking that, I was scared going to the office.
What would you just go to the office
for? You don't want to know, right?
I'm guessing that something happened at recess.
Yeah, something at recess.
I'm surprised.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe a little hockey game that got out of hand, right?
Yeah.
And then, And I don't know about you, but even as a new teacher, did you ever have any anxiety going to see the principal? Because
Yeah,
teachers shared with me that they get a little bit of anxiety coming to see the vice principal or principal and being in this office, right?
absolutely. It's the role, it's the position, it's the title, it's the authority,
Yeah.
perceived authority. Anyway, right?
Yeah.
When you get called into the principal's office, that's like got like I think for some people it's like a trauma response. Not gonna lie,
Yeah.
right?
And those people weren't in trouble
They
in
weren't even in
school.
trouble.
No.
It's like when you get, not don't want to equate us to being police officers, but when you get pulled over,
Yeah.
your first thought is to do something wrong,
Right.
and maybe you did, but
Right.
you get that feeling.
Yeah.
Oh no,
That physiological response.
that's right.
Right. So I think about that. So all the culture we've had, and I try to work very hard to be the opposite of that.
Yeah,
But even when, as a teacher, people thinking about, oh, principals should act like this. I want my principal of my school to be this kind of person and respond to students and staff concerns this way. I think you just, you hear so much of that, and it does impact you. But being a year and a half into the role now, I feel like you figure out the kind of leader you want to be, right? And we're going to talk a lot about finding your own voice in that.
and finding your, like you said, finding your own voice, but your approach to something might be different. And the beauty of the job, especially at secondary, is working with professionals like yourself
Mm-hmm.
and other vice principals I've had the joy of working with, and just seeing how they kind of like come at something in a different angle and being able to like really appreciate the way they do it. And when they do it from a way that you can tell it's like closer to their like aligning with their principles and their values, it comes off better and actually has more of an impact, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Because if you're someone who the disposition might not be to raise your voice, and then you're raising your voice, well, guess what? Like something happened there. You're already out of your element.
Yeah.
You did something that's unnatural to you, right? So I
And
appreciate these different approaches because I'm like I learned too. I'm like, well, maybe next time I can go in with a little bit softer or a different angle. But everyone's got those strengths, and I think just playing to your strengths and knowing what works for you is half the battle.
yeah. And to add to that then, or I guess the question is, would everyone appreciate a certain approach then, right? Like
Yeah.
the people you're serving, whether that's staff or students, right? They may look at your approach and think that approach doesn't work with that kind of student, and you should be more like this.
That's
And they're
right.
offering you different types of feedback, or what they're thinking, right?
Well, that's the question we had,
Yeah.
kind of listed here was how do you balance taking feedback from others while still staying true to your own leadership style? And I think that's a delicate balance,
Mm-hmm.
right? And has that happened to you where either you got the feedback or you had the feeling that someone thought you should act differently in a situation? Not they didn't tell you, but you could just tell by their reaction they thought you should have been either harder or heavier or whatever.
Yep.
And like how did that sort of impact you? How did you balance it out?
Yeah, I can't think of an example that sticks out as a new principal or a new vice principal, right? But even now, I'm certainly more comfortable in the role, and I can see that some people aren't satisfied with how things went,
Yeah.
right?
That's the hard part.
But the piece is that we know students, some students a lot more than others, and they don't see the amount of time with that we've already spent with that student and engaging that family and all the work that's gone in with the student, so they don't hold all the pieces. But I feel very comfortable and confident that we're doing the best thing for that kid.
That's right.
Right. And if we have that at the forefront, then you have to be able to go home at the end of the day and say, that was a great day. I did the right thing.
It's a great perspective. And I think if people are listening that are new to the role, transitioning into a leadership role, that they should really consider what you just said there, because I think it's easy to beat yourself up. At the mental side, especially, I mean, we're lucky we have a team, right? But people that work alone, school leaders, I'm sure it can be incredibly lonely wrestling with decisions or how things landed. Or if you got a few staff members that might be unhappy about the way you handled it, you're like all alone to wrestle with those thoughts, right? Whereas like for you and I and our team, it's like, I handled that okay, right? You can ask that question and feel like supported and be united.
Or get the feedback.
And be united and reflect in a way that is could change your practice, but brings to better self-awareness. But at least you had a chance to bounce it off sort of somebody else and absorb some of that blow of maybe the criticism too, right? I don't know. We are open to criticism, obviously, in the positions that we are in. But yeah, taking that feedback and then knowing what to do with it, and then using that feedback in your own style too, right? Like, so like I'm sure there's been times where I've got feedback about the way I've done something or handled something or the team has handled something, and what the person might hope for when I take that feedback is that there's immediate change. But what I might do with that feedback is say, hey, like, how does that feedback actually fit into like our overall philosophy, and where does it fit into actually making changes we want to see in the school, and are parts of it that we can use, and are we going to go at it all at once, or are we going to go at it like slowly, taking like little bits of it? It's not that we ignore the feedback and you're totally dismissive of the feedback. It's like you just take it for face value and try and do something with it that's productive and not beat yourself up over it. It's just feedback, right?
So,
it's just feedback.
Right. So anytime that you've gotten feedback on your leadership, how have you used that?
Yeah, I think I try and take everything at face value. Like, I think early on I would probably be I could get upset or emotional about it internally, not like that anyone's seeing, but I would wrestle with it to think, oh, I really did all this, or they didn't see how I was trying on my side of it, or all the other work, like you said, that has gone into coming up with a decision. But now I approach it much more like pragmatic, like, okay, what are they really saying? And what are they really trying to get at? And what is it about my leadership or maybe a path I took in that decision-making process that didn't really meet the standard or the expectation of the other person on the other side? And then what can I learn from that for next time? Or is the feedback really valid? And it's something I really didn't consider. Like, being open to the fact that I might have missed something also is a good thing, but not beating myself up over it. Right. And I think you do a great job of that too, Matt, honestly, about just taking that feedback and kind of just digesting it and thinking about what are the next steps. And sometimes we're going to dismiss some things if it's like totally out of line. Like, I'm not talking about feedback from teachers. It might be from an angry parent or something that says, this happened, this for sure happened, it was this, and this is okay. Like, we got to like work through the situation. But some stuff, people are acting out of an emotional space too. And at the end of the day, once things get resolved, sometimes they even dismiss their initial comments. So some things we don't need to absorb everything. We can't let it hit us like really hard right in the center. Like, we got to hear it, but it doesn't have to like fully land on us. What do you think about that?
Well, it's not always about us.
It's not always about us. Yeah. No. But it's important to have that self-awareness and at least take what people are saying and consider it. Yeah. I don't care how wild it sounds or outlandish it sounds. I'm going to consider it.
Well, the other thing too is you probably do respect a lot of what people do say, right?
For sure.
And we work with excellent people. For
sure.
And they do offer feedback at times in different ways. And I think it's just, you're just growing, right?
Absolutely.
And if you're going to have this idea, and you should have a philosophy. I know you have a philosophy of course, leadership and where you're at. But that's not going to be the same 3 years from now as it is today. It's not going to be the same in June as it is today.
That's right.
Right. So it's all that feedback, reflection kind of cycle, and then thinking about where you're going to go next. Right?
And I would say the other part about balancing the feedback too is that there are times where you should be acting on that feedback. Like, you've got lots of people out there that are listening to lots of others. And when they bring something to you, it might not just be how they're feeling. It might be about how lots of people are feeling, right? So I've definitely had they're in my mind. I'm not going to speak on them specifically in this moment, but there's been a bunch of times where key staff members have brought something to me and I've addressed it with the whole staff.
Right.
Because I didn't know that until they brought it to me. So it's not like I was ignoring it. It's just they brought me some information that I knew I need to act on and either revisit an expectation or double down on our philosophy and how what I'm hearing didn't really align with the philosophy of like our overall practice here, and make it known to staff. But had I not taken that feedback and just dismissed it and swept it under the rug and ignored it, who knows what festers, right? So you do need to take some feedback and really decide what you're going to do with it.
Right.
That's the decision making in my mind is what are you going to do with that feedback? Is it valid? How is it going to help move people forward? And does it need to be like addressed? Because it's easy to just ignore those things.
Right.
Oh, it's not a big deal. Or you can dismiss things. You can rationalize anything you want. But taking the step to actually consider the feedback and do something with it, that's hard. Can be very hard.
Yeah.
It involves you doing something, right? Like acting.
Right.
So
for sure.
It's a big one. So it doesn't mean I'd be stepping out of my leadership voice in that scenario, in my mind. It means that I'm just going to take new information and then figure out how to proceed from there. And even in those instances, I tried my best not to like let it impact me personally.
Mhm.
I just took it as feedback and decided, oh, what's our next best move here?
Yeah.
Very pragmatic. Getting more pragmatic as the years go by. I'm not gonna lie to you,
There you go.
which is maybe a good thing.
So can I dig into that then?
Sure.
What strategies are you using, sorry, to maintain a positive self-perception as a leader?
Yeah, that's a big part of being, I think, a healthy leader, right? Being able to maintain like positive self-concept and belief in yourself and your abilities. And there are many instances where you can get like off track with that, or pushed one way, pulled another way, that make you question your integrity, your beliefs. And you have to, at the end of the day, kind of like you already mentioned, really, is that you need to believe that you're doing the best for the most, as as often as possible, right? And you need to be able to like rest knowing that you gave it your best. And it's not always going to be perfect, and there's going to be some people that aren't going to be happy. But as long as you feel that you did your best to do right by people, that you can feel good about the decisions that you make, right? And I think it's important that leaders do look, feel, and like act healthy, positive, have energy. And then, I mean, this book talks a lot about having like a good energy, and you need to protect that energy. So there's going to be energy vampires out there.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not necessarily coming for you, like
Nope.
they're not coming for you, right?
Yep.
But they do come for people, right? And I think that happens, and it's easy to get sucked into that. And if you live in that negative vortex, it can be probably very hard mentally for people. And I think I've been there for sure. I've been there at times where I thought I need to do more. And, you know, I feel like that whatever happens in the school, as a big school like this or any school that anyone would be leading, is that what happens there is a reflection of the leadership, right? I believe that. So when something doesn't go great, you do feel it because it's a reflection of you and what you either permit, allow, champion. You do have to wear it, right? But you also have to temper it with being still confident in your abilities to do stuff. So I'm getting better at realizing that I can make mistakes, and that also I can recover from mistakes. So I guess the big one. It's like you can always recover. There's always going to be a way to recover. There's always going to be a way to reconcile. It's better to be proactive, right? And like have the answers up front ahead of time. But knowing that you can always reconcile, there's nothing that you can't sort of overcome, and that you need to maintain a positive mind frame to be effective for your people is really, really important. So I'm getting a lot better at that. And again, like there's tons of strategies you can use. But for me, I just the biggest one is really connecting with people, right? And finding positives in sort of each day and using gratitude. I'm way better at that now than I was before. I think I mentioned in one of the Instagram posts there, it was just about celebrating other people. Like I get so much joy from that now that I don't, not that I didn't get it before, but I really starting to feel it now, like in an authentic way of like really appreciating people. There's some amazing people that we get to work with on a daily basis, and it's that's so fulfilling and affirming for us as leaders too, right? That we get to have those interactions. So to sum it up, my best strategy is focusing on the good things that are happening, because I'm confident that no matter where anybody is, there's something good happening, right? There's gonna be some negative too. Yep. But you can't live there. Can't hold a seat for that at your table, right? Right. Yeah, that's how I'm choosing to roll.
There you go.
How about you?
That sounds good. Yeah. I just think for myself, speaking about the self-perception, it's like having that values-driven leadership. So like what's your, personal leadership philosophy, or what are the values that you find are most important to you? And then always acting on them. So, I can think of a situation, I think it was, sometime middle of the year last year, where, I saw something or I heard something that I knew I had to act on. Right. And it's only because, it wasn't right initially, but also like because of my own values, I was like, I have to go and say something. I have to go and address this issue. Maybe I didn't want to, and it was uncomfortable, but just knowing that, okay, like, am I going to be the kind of leader that, stays true to the things that they believe in, or are we going to just pick and choose what we address, or, the conversations that we're going to have with people, or the types of decisions we're going to make, or are we going to play favorites or whatever that might be? And you just realize really early that if I'm going to be that authentic leader and I'm going to do the best for the most, do the
Yeah.
best for everyone, then I have to go and I have to step up and have this conversation. And I think you maintaining your own values as a leader is really important, not only for how people are going to perceive you and think about you and, build that trust with people, but also for yourself. And to say, like, I'm not going to go down that road of, just letting things go, right? Just because I don't want to have the conversation or whatever that might be. And I think that's, like, for me, that's an important piece of it, to say, you know what, I got that and I did it and it was fine in the long run, right? And then the conversation that I had was fine too. But also it was like one of those check marks to say, you know what, I am a values driven leader and I'm going to stay the course, right?
You are.
No, thanks. You too.
That's a great point. And to revisit what I said too is like, yes, I do value relationship with people. That's a big deal. That's how we move forward. But also, when push comes to shove, are you standing by some of the principles that your whole leadership style is based on? And it's way easier not to say something sometimes, or to just let things go, like you said, right? But to actually show some conviction in your philosophy so that people see it demonstrated. That doing those actions, like, just it pays off because it it reiterates what you stand for. It makes you feel like you're able to stand for the things that you stand for, and that's not be pushed around, but not just like kind of roll over, acquiesce to somebody else's wishes because you don't want to have any conflict, right? I think that's a really, really good point about like principles, sticking to the principles that you believe in, right? Even when it's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and every time you do that, it's a vote for yourself. It's like, it's a vote for what I stand for.
That's right.
Right. And I think the more you do that, the more people actually probably see what you're about, and things. There's more congruency with what they expect from what you're gonna do versus what you end up doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And when that happens, at least they know like where you stand on things,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's a great quality of a leader to have that.
Yeah.
Wicked. Got anything else?
Well, can I throw this one at you?
Throw it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges that aspiring principals might face when they're trying to find their own leadership style or their leadership voice? Not only like to start the role, but as they're thinking about this as a calling, and how they can, like, start developing that leadership voice.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think if you think about your time as like an educator, I think that will give you a lot of signs as to how you should operate potentially as an administrator as well, in terms of your demeanor, how you approach a certain situation. Not that there's not room for like growth or self-reflection, because you can always change, right? We can always change. Like our tactics or strategies might change, but the overall philosophy that you have probably stay kind of similar-ish, I would think. But how do you like interact with students when they're in your class? Are you someone who's like raising your voice? When there's conflict, how do you handle it in your class? Because that will spill over naturally into how you handle some things, I think, in the administrative role as well, right? When something's not going quite right, or addressing student misbehavior in your class, what does that approach look like? And then how does that translate to being an administrator, and what you think an administrator needs to do, right? I think there were times that I had where I thought I really had to like swoop in and be like Mr. Alpha Dog in situations, and I totally didn't have to. Mm-hmm. And that's not my general nature. So, but I felt I had to for every other people, not for me. But I learned quickly that, if I'm going to get to the resolution I'm hoping, because every time there's conflict or whatever, I'm talking about conflict, not other leadership things now, but you got to think about like, what's the resolution going to be here, and what are my best steps to help bring a resolution. Could be bringing other people in, could be talking in a soft, calm voice, could be helping regulate students. Mm-hmm. Whereas in the past, I would have thought, I'm just going to go in there and, solve it, because that's what I'm supposed to do. That's my job. And I'm going to tell this student this, and they're just going to comply. Well, I found out that doesn't work.
Doesn't work very well.
It doesn't always work that way, because you know what? Students are complex. They're human beings, eh? Like they're like,
and that doesn't settle anything.
It doesn't settle anything, and it doesn't move the relationship forward, and it doesn't get to the resolution that you think it will. And I've been guilty of doing that a few times. And part of it's because I, wasn't maybe operating at my optimal level, but also because I thought that's how I was supposed to act. Mm-hmm. And I've learned already that I need to act like Jordan's going to act, just like you need to act how you're going to act in your authentic way, but still trying to like get to that resolution.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean you're like skirting that, but you are doing it in your own unique way and finding your voice, right? My strategy is not to yell. My strategy is to be calm. And I think that's kind of like your approach too. But some other people have some success with different approaches.
Yep.
Or more
Yeah, we've
direct
seen
or
that.
indirect. I've seen some really great things in terms of, we're talking fully focusing on students here, but how they like approach a conversation with a student. And there's some fascinating strategies that people have,
Mhm.
right? When they're trying to like get an answer from somebody
Yep.
about what might have happened. Like some people are really like, I'm pretty direct, and sometimes that works out really well. Sometimes it doesn't. And when the direct angle doesn't work out, I'm kind of like stuck, right? It's like, oh, that was my one chance to get an answer from this person. It didn't work out. But I find there's some people that are really good at like indirect questioning and like, bringing about the story through an
Mhm.
indirect way.
Yep.
I could learn.
I've
from
seen that in
I
action.
could learn from them. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
like, how'd you do that?
Yep.
So I'm getting better at that. But it comes out best for me when I am like just like leveling with people and being like who I am, which is kind of a reasoner, and getting people to like think, regulated and then reasoning, right? I just think that's my general approach. So yeah.
Nice.
Did I answer that fully?
Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah. Well done.
Well, okay. Sorry, I didn't answer that well. The truth is, there are times where you might think people want you to act a certain way, but you need to act how you feel comfortable acting.
Of course.
Yeah. Because
I
when you
think
start
that's-
acting like someone else, it's not going to work out well.
Yeah, I think that's the theme, right?
Yeah.
I think certainly there are teachers who expect principals to act a certain way. Same with students, same with parents. And I think there's no one way to do it.
No, there's no one way to do it.
go about it. I think, again, we've talked a lot on the pod about
Yeah.
this is a relationship focused role.
Yeah.
And really, here we are in the front lines of customer service, right? Not only with our staff, students, parents, community, and so on. And I think there are many different ways in order to serve, and find the way that works for you. Whatever you use now that you get good results with, or you get good feedback on, or good reactions from different groups of people, that's your style. And that's the same style that's going to work as an administrator, really.
Yeah.
Because it's what works for you now.
Yeah. And not everyone's going to love your style, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Because your best bet is your style.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like golfing. They say like your best swing is the one that like you show up to the golf course with, right? Like don't try and change it during the game
That's right.
because like that's not going to work out well.
How's that
So-
going for you?
Not great. You need to go practice and then go to the situation again, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like, you can't change like, midstream when you're dealing with something. You got to just see it through in your authentic way. And then if you need to do some learning after, by all means, go ahead. Like you're evolving, I'm evolving. We're changing our tactics and our strategies and stuff like that. But it's all about still finding our unique way to approach things, right? And there's nothing wrong with changing. Doesn't mean you're like abandoning yourself.
Mhm.
It means you're self-reflective.
Yeah.
Which is really important too.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, there's more than one way to do this job.
Yeah.
As we're witnessing.
Yeah. Well said. Okay. Nice job.
Finish this up. Not bad.
Yeah, way to go.
Got to work on our lighting though. It's a little
Yeah.
weak. Okay.
We need
Go ahead.
a studio.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to the Becoming a Principal podcast. We are grateful for the time that you spent with us today. Be sure to check out our Instagram at Becoming a Principal podcast. Have a great day, everyone.
See ya.